This episode is brought to you by DraftKings. The NBA is back, and at DraftKings Sportsbook, an authorized sports betting partner of the NBA. The key to victory is a strong starting five. New customers can bet just $5 on any NBA team to win their game. And if they do, you win $200 in free bets. DraftKings Sportsbook customers can also get skin in the game with new same-game parlays. Combine multiple bets from the same game for a bigger payout. The more legs you add, the more money you can win. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THOMAS. Bet just $5 on any NBA team to win their game and win $200 in free bets. If they win, you win. With promo code THOMAS this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an authorized sports betting partner of the NBA. What's up to all my Hooper players, basketball enthusiasts, coaches, anybody that loves the game, man. Welcome to another episode of Buckets and Breakdowns. We had a full timeout, but we back here to play. And I brought in my partner here, Mr. Drew Gooden himself. Thank you for your time and thank you for joining us in Buckets and Breakdowns, brought to you by Ballislife.
I'm Coach Thomas Scott, and if you're listening or watching this podcast, it means one thing. You want to learn how to get buckets from the best in the world. This is the Hoopers Podcast. This is Buckets and Breakdowns.
Man, appreciate the atmosphere, man, and being around the surroundings of positivity. Man, I'm happy for everything you're doing, T. Scott. You know, we've been boys for a long time now, man, and I love what you're doing, man. So I'm glad to be a part of it.
Man, I appreciate it, man. And you know, you've always been solid from day one, man. And, you know, kudos to you and everything you got going on. And it's only right that we talk about your path here in Buckets and Breakdowns, because you had a unique style of play at the power forward spot right now, which I think is one of the most important spots, almost like the point guard. You know, I remember an era where the small forward was getting busy, but now the power forward, you see with your Julius Randles and guys like that are starting to, you know, change the game a little bit with the 5-out offense. But I wanted to go back to the beginning of this being Buckets and Breakdowns. When did you realize that you could really get buckets?
Bro, man, I was on vacation, man, with my mom in Arkansas, going to visit her, because she ended up moving to Arkansas like my freshman year of high school, and I stayed back with my pops. I was like, hey, you know, we cool out here in Cali, and I really don't know the parts of Arkansas like that. So I decided, you know, I'm gonna be with pops through high school. You know, I'm gonna visit you in the summers. You know, when I got time and everything. Mm-hmm. And I had an opportunity to go see moms down in Arkansas, and I was there for about a couple of weeks, man. And all we was doing is like fishing and I was just at the house, just bored, bro. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I asked her, I was like, man, I need to go hoop. Like, can I go hoop somewhere? And mom's had a plug with one of her friends that knew one of the assistant coaches at the time at the University of Arkansas when Nolan Richardson was there. Mm-hmm. And if y'all know about Arkansas basketball, like in the early, almost mid-90s, bro, like Arkansas was a powerhouse basketball team during that era. And Nolan Richardson was the head coach, and my mom had an in or knew somebody that knew the assistant coach at the time up there. Mm-hmm. So fast forward, mom's like, hey, they said you could come up there and watch the team practice. I was like, word? I was like, man, I'm in. Let me go up there. So she took me to the school, to the gym. Mm-hmm. I started watching the guys. They was warming up. I was just shooting on the sideline, and I went from watching to them saying, "Hey, we need one. You want to run with us?" You feel me? And at this time, I'm like I'm in the ninth grade, bro. I'm in the ninth grade going into my sophomore year in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, y'all want me to run? I was like, all right, I'll run. So I ended up playing 5-on-5 pickup with college basketball players when I was 14 years old. And a long story short, like I held my own. Like I was
Okay.
I was balling. So when you asked me like the first time I knew I could get buckets, like I think this was the day. You know?
Oh, word.
Like this was the day. Like I knew I was like I could play at a different level than just high school at that age because I'm playing against grown men that I seen like this team was winning national championships, and I got thrown right in the fire to pick up and held my own. And you know, back then you weren't allowed to watch, like the coaches weren't allowed to watch like the pickup games. But word got around us a 14-year-old down there in Bud Walton Arena giving everybody buckets.
Mm.
So check this out. Now you got to remember, I got dropped off by mom, so I ain't got too much time to be up there like that. But then Nolan Richardson somehow they said, "Hey, Nolan Richardson wants to talk to you." I said, "What?" This is right after me just playing some hoop with the with the older guys. You know what I'm saying? That was already in college. Nolan Richardson sent for me. I went to his office and I was like, "Yo, this is like the first famous person I ever met in my life. Like, this is Nolan Richardson. I seen this man on TV, like winning championships, and in Arkansas at that time, he was a god." So I was like, "Yo," he was like, "Hey man, where you from?" Like asking the questions, like, "What's going on?" So long story short, I ended up staying like another week because he wanted me to go to one of his camps. So I ended up staying and went to one of his camps, got MVP of the camp, and then it went from him offering me a scholarship to come play to the University of Arkansas off the pickup game.
As a freshman in high school?
Going into my sophomore year as a sophomore.
Wow.
Yeah, dog. So it's like, that's when I knew, like, all right, I'm a little different. You feel me? Like, you're going to offer a kid that's 14 years old, 15 years old, a scholarship, and it's the University of Arkansas, which was a big powerhouse at that time. You know, I kind of felt some type of way. You feel me?
Wow.
And I think that's where it started.
That's incredible, man. And a lot of people know, some people don't. You know, you from the Bay Area, Richmond, California, correct?
Absolutely.
And I know
born and raised, born in Oakland, went to high school and spent the rest of my, you know, my young adolescent life in the streets of Richmond, California.
I'm knowing, being from Southern California and spending some time in Sacramento, I've heard a lot about Richmond, man. You got to be a tough dude to come out of Richmond and make it, first of all. But how did that environment like push you, but also shape you as a player and a person, creating your toughness?
Man, that's a great question. You know what? That's a great question right there, T. Scott, because it's like a formula to this, man. Like, for certain people and certain individuals to make it, no matter what you're doing in life, you got to have some type of background and some type of foundation. And when I look back at it, and when people ask me, like, how did you do it? I mean, I had to go through the tests. Like, you know, me and you was joking earlier. I was like, yo, like, people making fun of me, yo, I'm used to that. Like,
wait, what's the test? Tell them about the test.
Like, going to school with pro wings on, you ain't got no J's, you broke. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't get talked about. Like, fans booing in the stands ain't gonna hurt me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been through all of that. You feel me? Where I grew up, and I grew up in Oakland, real talk, in the '80s. That's where I started. You know, before I moved to Richmond. And, you know, it wasn't no joke. It was everything you ever heard or knew about Oakland, California in the 80s during the crack epidemic. So I had to come up through that time. And I think that's kind of like really what gave me my backbone and my toughness when it came to doing anything, whether it was playing basketball, baseball, football, hopscotch, foursquare, tetherball, all the games, shoot dice, you know what I'm saying? Like, we good at all the games, you know what I mean? And I think that was really my background, and growing up in Richmond and Oakland really gave that to me and helped me prepare to that next level. You know?
And you know, me and you rap a lot, man. We talk about, you know, Big Drew. I got to meet Big Drew. It's Drew Gooden's dad. You know, I heard a lot of funny stories about him, but real stories about how he pushed you. But you know, just being tough. And how was that coming up? You know, I feel like
See,
there's a lot of young guys that got their pops, you know, kind of
yeah,
pushing
man.
them.
Yeah, I mean that's another recipe to the pot, man. A success. Having my pops in my life, man, because I could have easily detoured and went a different route, but I always had somebody checking, everything at the door if it wasn't right. You know what I mean? So he was big on school. My pops, he everything he didn't do, like finish school. Go to a big college, go to the league, take care of your business, be a man. Like he was molding me to be something that he felt like he wasn't at the time. He made some wrong decisions throughout his life when he was trying to come up in the ranks. So I think he did totally opposite of what he was doing. He put me on a straight path to success. You feel me? So a lot of my homeboys that I had around me. So Big Drew was like everybody's pops.
Mm-hmm.
And he was giving everybody the game when it came to hoop. But man, I grew up out on the park, bro. We was in the park playing every day. Big Drew was a street baller, so Big Drew was the dude that went and played overseas for a couple of years. Probably knocked one of his teammates or his coach out overseas, and then came back to the came back to the town. Came back to the town and was just a street baller. You know what I'm saying? So Big Drew, like when you hear about all the stories about like GP, J Kidd coming up in the playground and like Demetrius Hook Mitchell, like Big Drew was right there hooping with him in the park because that's where we really played. You got to remember, man, it wasn't no gymnasium. The only time you got a gym to go hoop in, you was playing in an actual game. Other than that, you was playing outside in the streets, and that's kind of like where I started. Watching pops hoop in the streets, and we was there every day.
What was that? What was the name of that legendary park where it was going down?
Mosswood.
Okay.
You got Mosswood. You got Park Boulevard, which was a half court, and that's kind of like where Big Drew was at a lot. It's half court, 3-on-3, 4-on-4, and then you got Lincoln. You got all type of spots. You got Frick in the town, and then in Richmond you got spots like Booker T. Anderson. That used to be East Shore. Shields Reed in North Richmond. You got Martin Luther King Center in Central Richmond. And I was at all those gyms. Big Drew was my pops actually was a director of one of them gyms, East Shore Community Center, which is directly in South Richmond. You feel me? So it's like I've been in the funk when it came to hoop in the Bay. You know what I'm saying?
I hear that. So speak on some of these guys that have came out and made it as hoopers in the Bay. Some of them Hall of Famers, All-Stars, Superstars. You say your pops got to play against and see these guys when they were in that element in the park. What is some of that history?
Man, it's a lot of history in the town, man. It's like when you talk about all of the guys, let alone from the town that made it to the league, when you go back as far as Bill Russell, Paul Silas, man, some of these great Phil Chenier, J Kidd, Gary Payton. When I say J Kidd, Jason Kidd, Leon Poe.
B. Shaw,
Brian Shaw. You got J.R. Ryder.
Isaiah Ryder. Now, is there any story? I got to get him on buckets, man. I'm trying to track down Isaiah Ryder. I'm gonna get him on here. I rapped with him before.
So it's like a certain type of player that comes out of the town. You feel me? Like a real scrappy, hard-nosed worker. Antonio Davis.
Yep. Antonio Davis.
Hey, Big Greg Foster. A lot of people don't remember Big Greg Foster. He played with Gary Payton in high school at Skyline High School.
Oh, word! I know Greg.
Yeah, he played some years in the league too. So, I mean, Eddie House. I mean, the list goes on and on, man. Like I said, forgive me if I'm missing anybody. And then we got the new young generation of guys like Aaron Gordon who's taking over. So, it takes a certain type of player to come up out of there.
Yeah, I hear you got to be tough, man. Hard nosed.
Excuse me, time out. Damian Lillard.
Oh, come on, we can't.
Where am I at? Man, where am I at with that? Please, if y'all can edit this, hey, make that be the first name.
For sure, and you can tell there's a swagger, there's a confidence, there's a competitive nature with all those guys that we've seen. They don't back down, and I love the Bay Area and the toughness that comes out of the Bay. So I'm spending time in the Bay right now, and I'm seeing it firsthand.
Firsthand.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, man, I know coming up, we talked a little bit. You played AAU ball, right? You played with the Oakland Soilders, who's still relevant and putting players through college, league, and then you also played with EBO. That was our era back in the day. We the same age.
Impressive. That's impressive that you even know about that. A lot of people don't know about that.
Man, break it down to the people because they need to know who are the guys you play with. I'm always interested to know about teammates in these high-level AAU teams.
Wow. So, Oakland Soilders was really structured with a lot of local talent, like the best guys, like the Ray Youngs, the Jovan Harrises, who was on my high school team, the Justin Davises, the Blandon Ferguson, like the cream of the crop of the Bay Area guys. And then EBO, which was EBO, was an AAU team that was ran. The headquarters is out of Fresno, but they had a lot of talent on their team because they was able to recruit back then. Back then with AAU, you didn't have to. You could be from Florida and play on the California team. You could be the best dude from New York playing on LA or Los Angeles AAU team.
Yeah.
Those rules have, I think, drastically changed now. And so when I went to EBO, that they kind of recruited the best, not just in local talent, but all over the map. Mm-hmm. So I had an opportunity to play with them. And when you talk about those guys, you got me, Carlos Boozer, Sean Stevenson, Matt Barnes, Brett Nelson. If y'all don't remember Brett Nelson, he like white chocolate.
Florida, right?
Version what you can say 2.0. He was version 2.0 of white chocolate.
Okay.
Brett Nelson went to the University of Florida. He was a McDonald's All-American in 1999. If you don't know about him, YouTube him. He was nice. We had another big swole youngster, Napoleon Rose, who was from Florida. So we had a nice structure of guys. Chris Jeffries, who ended up going to the pros and played about 5 years in the pros, was on that team.
Who was on the starting five, man? Who's starting on that squad? How you figure out the starters? You and Booze, I know y'all got to be out of there. Who's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Hold on, you was off the bench?
I was coming off the bench at that time because you got to remember, them dudes was a year older than me. So like Matt Barnes, Ray Young, Chris Jeffries, all them dudes was like a year older than me. But then when it was our turn to really kind of take over, then I was starting. Booze was starting. When I say Booze, it's Carlos Boozer, Deshaun Stevenson, and then we had Brett Nelson and then Napoleon Rose. And that was probably one of my most dominant AAU teams ever.
What's the biggest lead you guys had? You beat. How much did you beat a team by the most?
Man, back then, you don't really remember because you know what I'm saying, you ain't had like no camera phone. You can't tweet about it. It was we were so used to like being on the dominant side. We really didn't even keep score, man. We just was out there put on a show.
Man,
we was out there putting on a real show. And it was hype because we'll have all the college coaches, at our games. Mm-hmm. You watching the best guys from the West Coast like on one team.
Right.
So it was some live games, man. It was some real live games playing with EBO.
Man, that's what's up. That's what's up. I wish we had all this Ballislife, all the YouTube, all the camera phones back then. I would love to see those games in person, man, for sure. Just online. Somebody's got to dig those up. Run the clips if you got them. So now going back to what you talked about, in ninth grade, you were already recruited. They offered you a scholarship at Arkansas. Now you're being seen by all the college coaches with this EBO team and making noise in the Bay. You went to Kansas. How how do you decide what school you want to go to, man? And talk about your time at Kansas.
Man, see, with me, it didn't happen. It didn't happen like gradually. I got that one offer from Arkansas, but I was really under the radar. I was really low key. Like it really wasn't no data on me. Like Arkansas had a diamond in the rough because a lot of people don't know this. I verbally committed to Arkansas before I went to Kansas. And the reason why is it wasn't no schools looking at me. Nobody knew I even existed other than Arkansas. So when I finally had my opportunity to go to a camp at the time, it was called ABCD camp, which was that was a big time camp for kids in high school that were the top Adidas kids all time. Excuse me, not all time. Excuse me, in high school at that time.
Who was there at ABCD at that time, man? Who was there?
During the era, you got to talk about like just Kobe Bryant, Tim Thomas, Antoine Walker. For us was DeMar Johnson, Donnell Harvey, Boozer, not Jason Williams wasn't there. It was Michael Dunleavy, Kenny Satterfield.
Oh yeah.
Deion Smith. We had a Majestic Map. I mean, it was a lot of guys that were McDonald's All-Americans and later on became pros. It was either that or the Nike camp. So Nike had their guys too. But Jonathan Bender was at that camp. He was
he went straight
to the league after that camp. And that was my first time to kind of measure up against this talent. And to see where I stood, I already knew I was different, but I now get the opportunity to kind of see how different I am compared to these other top high school players in the country at that time. And I just remember the first day getting there, they come out with a pamphlet, and it has the top like 250 guys at that camp, and they rank all of them. And I was there with let me add this. I was there with 3 other dudes that was on my AU team that were there, and their names are on this list. And we kept flipping pages, and my name is nowhere in the top 250. You feel me? So right there, I was all like, "Oh, they don't know who I am." Like it was like more incentive. Like, hold on, man, I got to really perform and let people know like what's going on. And I think that's where everything kind of took off. T. Scott, from the first day getting there and not being on that list to leaving, there's like the top scorer, the top rebounder. I mean, whatever category it was a stat, I was in the top 3. And I went from having just that Arkansas offer to now I got everybody. I got Duke, North Carolina, Kansas, Michigan, UCLA. I mean, you name it. And now, eventually now I had to start saying I got to start, weighing my choices because I think I got the gun a little too quick. For Arkansas, you feel me? So I had ended up taking a trip to Kansas, an unofficial trip to Kansas. And once I met Roy Williams and saw how genuine he was, and one thing that he told me that stood out to the other schools that were offering me scholarships, one thing that he said to me was this: if you come to Kansas, I'm not promising you anything. He's like, I ain't promising you no playing time. I ain't promising you if you're gonna start. I ain't promising you none of that. You got to earn everything, and you got to outwork the next dude in front of you. And that was all the challenge I needed. And he knew only a dog would take that.
Right.
He knew a dog was gonna be like, you know what? Forget all these other schools saying, "Oh, you one and done. Just come here. I know how to make you get to the pros quicker." Forget all that. I was like, I'm going to Kansas.
Right. How was your experience, man?
The experience was it was great, but it was a hard transition at first for me because coming from the school I was coming from, I mean, we didn't have scouting reports before the games, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
yeah, we were competing at a higher level because we had talent in high school, but we weren't watching film on the team we're playing against the next night. You know what I'm saying? We just show up and then we'll figure it out and adjust and just kick your ass. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
So yeah, I mean, they teaching you, preparing you to be a pro, right? And
So, but what I'm saying is, in high school, we didn't have any of that. So when I got to
yeah.
college, it was a big shock to me. It was a shock to the system. Like, wow, this is preparation. You actually know the other team's plays and what they're gonna run, and we have to practice that in practice. Like, that was new to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we always just ran our stuff. We ran our sets in high school, and then we just gonna go out there and do or die with it. You know, when I got to Kansas, I saw structure. I saw fundamentals. I was taught all of that, and then it was just repetition over and over, and it's a system. And the experience, man, you know, going to a blue blood school, and when I say blue blood school, that's the Kentuckys, the Kansases, the Dukes, the North Carolinas. I guess you could put baby blue in there with UCLA if you want to, but those are schools that are prestigious when it comes to basketball.
Right.
So
Right.
going there, I earned my doctorate, you could say, almost, or at least my master's in basketball.
Yeah, I bet, man. Who are some of your teammates? Who did you play with? Who you enjoy playing with? And how was that chemistry?
I'll tell you what, Nick Collison, who
Oh yeah.
played 15 years in the NBA, we came in as freshmen together, and
Mm-hmm.
Kurt Heinrich, who played
Oh
14 years
yeah.
in the NBA.
Yep.
We all came in as freshmen together, and in the preseason rankings of, like, I'll never forget, it was in one of the magazines, in one of the preseason rankings, it talked about the top incoming freshman classes. And Duke was, of course, number one, because Duke in our freshman class had got Michael Dunleavy Jr., Carlos Boozer, Jason Williams, and I'm talking about Jay Williams.
Mm-hmm.
He's on ESPN now,
Yep.
not White
Yep.
Chocolate. Jay Williams, who was unreal in high school and in college.
Right.
They had a nice recruiting class, but we were like 17th, 18th. Like, we were low key. Like, didn't nobody know who Kurt Heinrich, Drew Gooden, and barely Nick Collison was. And I think that was what motivated not only me. I think it motivated Kirk and Nick. And then when you add that fire of Roy Williams and how competitive all three of us, how we were, man, you talk about, I did 14 years in the NBA. Kirk did 14 years in the NBA. Nick did 15.
Yeah.
You feel me? And we was under the radar. So when you talk about learning, in my experience at Kansas, man, we learned a lot.
Man, that's what's up, man. And you guys are built to last, man. You guys is true vets, true pros, and taught the game properly and to fit in and continue to be yourselves within structure. So I mean that's all you can ask for as a player, right? And now, okay, you end up getting drafted, huh? Like what, fourth pick, right? Am I mistaken? Second
Yeah.
pick.
So after my
Fourth.
junior season, man, Roy Williams said, "Man, you got to go." And then when you get the blessing from him, it's starting to become real. And
Mm-hmm.
I had an outstanding junior season, and it was time, man. I was hungry. I worked my entire life to get to that point. Uh, I put the work in. You know, all
Mm-hmm.
that running with Roy Williams, all the days at the park with Pops, all of it started to kind of pay off now. You know what I mean? And when it actually happened, it was like, yo, like I did it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
the motivation was Jonathan. When I saw Jonathan Bender get drafted out of high school, and I played against Jonathan Bender at that time, when he got drafted for the Indiana, I was like, damn, I was just playing against him this summer, and I held my own. And I really held my own. And I was like, I wonder if I could ever be a top 5 pick. And for it to actually happen, it was like it was almost like I told you so, like I knew it.
You knew it. You was right. Yeah.
I knew it.
It's like you kind of need those eye-opening moments of like just showing yourself, proving to yourself, like, wait, hold up, I belong. Wait, hold up. Like,
Facts.
hey, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what they saying on this paper or rankings and this, that, and the other. I know that y'all got this dude top whatever, and I just gave this dude buckets. I just stopped him on some of his best moves, made him use his counters to a counter. I'm here. So,
Exactly.
I mean, I knew that had to be a unbelievable feeling, man, to just know you belong and then be validated in being an NBA player and being drafted. So, you know, I know you got picked up by Memphis the first year.
Yeah, I got drafted to the Memphis Grizzlies, and it was interesting because it was the second year that they just left from Vancouver.
Okay.
So they just drafted 2 years when they were in Vancouver, they drafted Stromile Swift with the number 2 pick.
Mm-hmm.
And then they drafted the next year when they moved to Memphis, they drafted Pau Gasol, the number 3 pick. And then my draft, they drafted me number 4.
All
Jerry
bigs.
West.
Hey, but that's a Jerry West. But wait, hold up. You got drafted by Jerry West? Hold on.
I got drafted by Jerry West.
That's a stamp of approval right there, though. That's the logo.
Hey.
You know, my pops got drafted by Jerry. I mean, Klay Thompson, you got Kobe Bryant, you got all these different dudes. And when he put his stamp, that's a major accomplishment.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. I didn't know it at the time. Everybody was like, "Hey, how does it feel that Jerry West drafted you?" I was like, I thought the Memphis Grizzlies drafted me. I didn't know.
No, that's Jerry West right there.
But now when you look at it and when you know the history of it, I mean, making the trade for Kobe. He didn't draft Kobe. He made the trade for Kobe.
Mm-hmm.
To draft Kobe. And he gave up Vlade Divac for that because when he saw Kobe work out, he said that's the best player in the draft.
Yep.
And he told me Jerry is such a straight shooter too, because the day I flew in, well, the night before I worked out for the team, I fly in and we go to dinner. And, we talking for about 30, 40 minutes, we eating. And he asked me at the end of dinner, he said, hey, you want to work out tomorrow? I was like, what? Like, I'm here for an NBA pre-draft workout. I was like, yeah, I want to work out tomorrow. He was like, all right, it's up to you if you want to work out or not, because if you're available, we're picking you.
It's up to you.
I was like, man, appreciate it, but I'm still gonna go do the workout.
That's awesome.
The workout was Udonis Haslem,
Ooh,
D'Angelo Collins.
Oh yeah, I know. DC,
D'Angelo Collins, and myself. It was
y'all going at it. A whole lot of buckets.
It was intense. It was an intense workout. And this was big UD. It wasn't in shape like cut UD. This was right out of Florida, Udonis Haslem.
Mm-hmm.
And D'Angelo Collins had some game to be coming out of high school. He was coming out of high school.
I remember we same class, Southern California, Inglewood High School. We used to work out with the same trainer. I seen it. I know about D'Angelo. He was a boy, as they say.
and think about it. And stamp of approval, Jerry Weston, he wanted to see him work out. He wanted to see Udonis work out. I mean, UD still playing right now.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Y'all built to last, man. Y'all ain't built for it tough. So I know you play with a lot of different squads from there. I know you in Orlando, you in Cleveland. Man, Clippers, I might be out of order here. Chicago. What am I missing?
Too.
But I think I want to know what you had the label of a journeyman a little bit, right? So what is that like to have that, like, to get traded or just re-signed here or there, somebody wants you too. That's what I'm saying. Like, so what is that like to be in that category?
It was tough, man. I think it made me strong. I learned it from an early point of my career too. I mean, I got traded 3 months my rookie year. The same dude that drafted me traded me too. We didn't get to that point.
Right, there you go.
Yeah. For Mike Miller, which was a great trade. I mean, Mike Miller was just coming off being the rookie of the year before that. Like I said, they drafted 3 bigs in a row. They had me playing the small forward position. I think it was best for both of us. I think Mike Miller did a phenomenal job after the trade in Memphis, and I did a phenomenal job in Orlando after the trade playing the power forward position. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, I learned early on that it was a business. And not only that, after my second year, we were like, we went 1-19 to start the season in Orlando. So with Tracy McGrady, this was the second year I was playing with Tracy, and this is the second year when he won a scoring title. We won our first game and lost 19 in a row. It's like an NBA record. And Doc Rivers got fired 7-8 games into that season. And it was just a shit show, man. I mean, we just were terrible. We just couldn't win a game. It was you could tell that, they made changes in management, and they wanted to go a different direction. We ended up getting the number 1 pick that year, and they drafted Dwight Howard. And then I had opportunity right before the draft, or even after the draft, to get traded to Cleveland.
Now wait, before you go to Cleveland, because we going on this journey, I want to know, how cold is T-Mac, man? You play with Orlando. How cold was he?
I just hinted. I didn't want to go into depth. I was like, yo, he led the NBA in scoring 2 years in a row that year.
Right.
I said that year, those 2 years.
What was it like playing with him?
It seemed like he did it twice in 1 year. It was so quick.
What was that like in practice? Like seeing him go at it, like being a part of it.
T-Mac wasn't practicing. T-Mac was not practicing. Now he'll work out and do his individual training. Now I will give him that. But this was when AI used to say practice, like that trickled down the whole league. Like some dudes just didn't practice. Like it wasn't no practice. You about to have these dudes play 42 minutes a game,
right?
Count on them to shoot these shots and all this. They was like, I'll save these bullets for the game,
man. And he did
saved every last one of them bullets for that game.
Right. He was a competitor. I mean, he was so cold. Some of the stuff he did.
He was different, man. He was a different athlete. His movements at his height, how he was able to. He was real shifty. He had bounce. He had big hands. He could palm the ball.
Cold,
good timing, great leaping ability, and then he had a jumper. I mean, he could shoot middies, fades. He had 3-ball, hezzy pump fake 3-ball.
I love that move he had.
He led the NBA in scoring when you only had 80, 90 points as a team, and this dude got 30.
That's who Kevin Durant remind me of. Is it like a T-Mac? And KD, obviously got more size, but that's the closest thing I think that we've seen to T-Mac is maybe KD, but you would know better than me.
Yeah. Well, KD, his height and his length is just,
yeah.
I mean, you gotta really see it to believe it, man. I mean, he's like almost really 7 feet. He's 6'11" and a half.
True.
And he got that long wingspan, and he got it on a string. Like it's for that ball to bounce up and get back to his handle and get back to his rhythm and still be able to pull up from 30. Man, that's magnificent.
Right.
That's magnificent. Hey, and T-Mac had that, but see, T-Mac was, I think, a little bit more explosive because T-Mac would go in there and do three, like do something up, throw it off the backboard to himself. You know what I'm saying? Something janky. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Something crazy. He'll do something crazy every once in a while, like you ain't seen.
Yeah, man. T-Mac, man. Please YouTube your T-Mac, young fellas. More YouTube T-Mac. I'm telling you, it was cold. So going to Cleveland, now you're there with a young Bron, right?
A young Bron, a very nice young Bron.
Yeah. What's that like? You just played with T-Mac, now you're going with Bron. I mean, what was you seeing then? Very similar,
Well, see,
just coming out of high school.
It was dope because Bronny, a lot of people don't know this. Bron played with the AAU team that I played with, Oakland Soilders, and I ended up sponsoring when I was in the league. Bron played like a summer and a half, or maybe even 2 summers with the Soldiers throughout high school. Yeah, I mean, he got a shoe called the Soldiers. Soldiers 1, Soldier 2. That was the whole AAU.
Wow.
That was the whole reasoning behind that. That was the team shoe, and he was part of the Soldiers. And not only that, I mean, we had Leon Poe was on that team. Kendrick Perkins, I believe, was on that team. I mean, they had some dogs that was on.
I didn't know that.
Team. Yeah, that's.
I didn't know that.
Know that.
That's amazing. Like a lot of those guys, they played again or play within the NBA. They played together before in AAU. Like
yeah, absolutely. like Perk and Brown been playing since. We even had Drew Joyce, who was the high school point guard for Bronny, come out from and play with us. So we had Drew Joyce and Bronny on the team when I think they was either sophomores going into junior year or junior. Yeah, I think we had them sophomore and their junior years playing with the Soldiers, and then Bronny just took off. But I already had that relationship with Bronny from high school to when I was in college to now he got drafted number 1. He popping. I get traded to his team. It was like the perfect scenario. I was like, this is the homie. Like this is my guy. Like I already know him. Like let's go hoop. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It was easy. And I always heard about Bronny being like the best. And when I used to always go watch him, I was like, man, he ain't doing nothing too crazy, but he winning. And he got a little bit, he doing a little bit of everything. He diming, he rebounding, he blocking shots, he scoring when he need to score. But nothing too crazy. Usually when you go see the number 1 dude
scoring.
He gonna shoot the ball every time. 30 shot attempts, no dimes, and probably lost, whatever. But now his team winning, it's hyped. They into it. You can see how he was a leader already at a young age. You could tell he was special. And now to play with him in the pros and saw what he was doing to grown men.
Yeah.
Bronny was serving grown men at 18, 19 years old, man.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've seen it. The proof's in the pudding. And, he's still going at it, putting in work and chasing greatness and trying to really be the GOAT, I think. And he's been consistent in his approach and work ethic and taking care of his body and and getting the right people around him to compliment him as well, as you see this year with the Lakers.
Listen, he was already a professional. See, a lot of people forget he already signed that big deal coming in with Nike as a youngster. People thought he was going to trick that off, and he exceeded the expectations. He's been special. I seen him special when he was 18, 19 years old. And it's amazing what he's still doing now. That dude is different.
For sure. What you named a couple guys, and they're all different. Like T-Mac, Bron, and then I know you spent some time in Chicago with Derrick Rose. What are some of those things they all have in common and makes them look a little different from everybody else? Besides, getting buckets, but more so behind the scenes.
A lot of those dudes, genuine dudes, man. Had humbling beginnings, backgrounds. it's like a lot of that. It's about that formula we was talking about earlier. A lot of these dudes, you know, they didn't grow up with a silver spoon. Bron had it tough. D Rose had it tough. Played with John Wall, another #1 pick,
Oh yeah.
had it tough. You know what I'm saying? So they got something driving them that, and their story kind of drives them. And watching, we call him Pooh, D Rose. When D Rose came in as the #1 pick to Chicago, I was playing the Bulls at that time. He was 19 years old, getting drafted to the Bulls, which was his home team. And a lot of people didn't know how he was going to be able to handle that. But D Rose was able to handle it, and it took me a couple games to know he was, actually a couple practices to know he was different, and how explosive he was, how competitive he was, how he used to get on himself about missing layups. He's probably one of the best finishers I've seen at his height. Underrated. A lot of people don't really even take note of how well Derrick Rose used to finish at the basket. But you know, he's still balling. He had 28 the other night. He had 28 the other night in a preseason game in 28 minutes.
I seen that.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So shout out to Pooh. He just signed a 4-year deal with New York. He learned how to come off the bench now and still be a star in his role. Like I said, he came off the bench and did that 28. You feel me?
Right.
So,
Right, for sure. So, Drew, I was going to ask you, man, like kind of going a little bit back, is what's something that you learned early on, skill wise, that carried with you to college, NBA, a skill, something that you always use? You know, I know you were able to, stretch the floor, knock down shots. You was able to bang and rebound. A communicator on defense. What are some of the things that just carry with you from the jump to pros?
I think the tenacity of offensive rebounding. I think that was my greatest strength. Having a knack for the ball, being able to be around the activity. You know what I'm saying? Not ever ball watching, being in the mix. I think that was one thing. My activity is one thing that always stood out. And you add that with a couple, hit a couple jumpers, take a charge.
Oh yeah, I know you're taking charges now. We ain't gonna go into that. I was gonna spare you on that one. That's an inside show.
Long story, folks. Long stories on that. Yeah, but yeah, man. When you mix that into it, man, I kind of carved out a good career doing those things. You know what I'm saying? Playing 14 years and having to really get in where I fit in, but just having that heart and that determination. I mean, I'd have heard it all. Like, you too big. I mean, you too small to play power forward or play in the NBA. Then I got to the point where you're too big to play in the NBA. We looking for stretch forward. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then I had to remold myself to finishing off my career being a stretch forward. So I kind of always carved out a role and was a man of many hats, and was in a lot of different situations, but was able to be successful in them situations.
Yeah, you got to be able to compliment your teammates, the system, the team, and build that trust, man. And I think the role and being able to play with so many different guys, you were appreciated because you knew how to hoop. You had a value that teams needed, and 14 years in the league, man, that's a blessing, man. I want to talk about your post career because we talk a lot, and I don't want to run out of time, man. But you played in the Big Three, man. That's another way we kind of reconnected and got to the finals one year, and then this year is a little difficult, but
it was tough this year.
I love seeing you out there, man. Talk about, being able to hoop now and still be competitive at this point in your life.
It's amazing, man. I was talking to my pops, and he was all like, man, it's one thing hearing you talk on TV and then still seeing you hoop at 40 years old. He was like, yo, I still got something to watch. Like, it still gives me excitement. And he was like thanking me for it. Pops was thanking me that I was still hooping. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm fully retired. When it comes to basketball, man, I'm fully retired. So if you see me out playing, it's for the love of the game. You know what I'm saying? It's to be in the mix. It's a kind of test to test me. You know, do I still got it? Like, where am I at? You know, me working out has this been paying off? You know, so a little bit of that curiosity. Do I still got it? And my competitiveness and me, you know, why not stay in shape? Why not just keep doing this? And, you know, the big three, they do a good job taking care of us. You know, they make it fun. You know, it's something that it's a fun thing to do. And then now my son's watching it, and he's into it. You know, he's asking me if I'm still gonna play. But it's like I said, I'm fully retired. The hardest thing is catching the phase from them young boys out there that's fully committed to hooping right now. That's the toughest part. But when I come out the fire, so if I bust your ass in the big three, just know that I'm fully retired and I ain't working out like that. So you just got your ass busted.
Hey, last thing I want to talk to you about is your squad you're working with. You're doing the color commentating with the Wizards right now, former team. I mean, you get to watch Bradley Beal every night. They got a new squad. I'm excited to see. Talk about the Wizards team and how much fun are you having calling the games?
Yo, listen, to talk basketball and win or lose, does not have any emotional attachment to it. I'm in, and I love my job. I retired a Wizard, so I transitioned into the TV and the broadcast sector and being able to cover them. So, you know, I'm a fan of the organization. I get love in the city. I got love for the city. So it was a great opportunity for me when I got presented to be able to be the color commentator for the Washington Wizards. And being able to call the games, being able to see these guys up close, personal, play-by-play, possession. You know, it gives me insight, and I'm able to provide insight to the viewers out there, and I love the feedback, and you know, I'm passionate about what I do.
Yeah, man, it's so funny because I always watch and I hear you using some NBA 2K references like, oh, he's a two-way sharpshooter. He's a three-level facilitating two-way.
Right, thanks. Because now you got to remember, like, you speaking to the younger audience as well. You're not just talking to the OG, so you got to be able to mix it up. And it's a lot of guys and people that played 2K over the years. So if I could make it interesting and throw that lingo out there, some of that 2K lingo out there, because I believe 2K does a real good job of kind of labeling these players in the game versus real life guys, like a three-level scorer. That's Bradley Beal to the T.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? So I think it goes hand in hand. So why not give some love to 2K? Why not give some love to some of the 2K viewers that's watching out there, some of the fans, and keep it interesting to that crowd.
Absolutely. And for those that don't know, you know, you might catch me and Drew Gooden and Q Rich out there on Xbox, you know, and in the rec.
Catch that fade. Tell them to catch that fade in that wreck, T. Scott.
Yeah. We might be out there, you know, giving you guys some buckets. You don't even know. My man Drew, he's nice, man. He got a bunch of different builds. I mean, he can shoot it, he can pass. He got a cold spin move. The coldest spin move in 2K.
Too much, but hey, it's a go-to move. You feel me?
Now go up.
Scott, I like that facilitated, that three-level facilitated two-way you got.
Hey, you know, because for me, I wanted to compliment the guys out there. You know what I'm saying? You know, space, knock down shots. You know, you got to play defense, number one. So that's my two-way. And then, you know, you got to be able to share the ball. You know, passing is contagious and selfishness is contagious. So I wanted to be able to, I see you. So you see me.
For y'all viewers out there that know about 2K and the My Player, the My Builder player, whatever that is, T. Scott made his man arm so small. T. Scott, the man can't even put his hands in his pocket.
Hey, because you get your shooting ratings higher.
His bicep and his forearm connected.
Hey, but he's low key out of shape, man. He's a little too heavy, man.
He's nice. I like it.
Hey, he's not fast though. He's slow. He's doing all bench press and no cardio afterwards. He's just going right up to get some shots up.
Yeah, that's a nice build. It's a nice build, though.
For sure. Hey, Drew, man, I'm not going to hold you up too much longer, man. I know you got a lot going on. I just want to say thank you for joining the Buckets and Breakdowns podcast presented to you by Ballislife. And, man, just keep doing what you're doing. Anything you want to share with the ball fans out there?
Man, everybody stay safe. I know it was a tough last year and a half. Blessings to you and yours. And that's it. Hey, T. Scott, I'm proud of what you got going on, man. Keep doing what you're doing. And like I said, thanks for blessing me to be on here.
No doubt, man. Another episode of Buckets and Breakdowns. Drew Gooden, my guy, I appreciate your time. We're going to get on some 2K probably later on tonight. But
right now. Like
right now.
15 minutes, man. Wrap this up, bro.
Let's do it. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. And we out.